3 up, 2 across, tap that play button 3 times, and walk through the archway into Dialogue Alley. Hello and welcome to Dialogue Alley, a podcast all about Harry Potter books, book translations, and all other things magical. I'm Melanie.
I'm Erik.
I'm Carly.
Erik wasn't sure about who he was. I didn't change the order.
I'm sure so now.
Erik was like, wait, am I supposed to say that I'm Erik? That's always the answer, is that you're Erik.
I am. That's me. I am I.
That is you. Oh, pronouns are hard.
And we are us.
Yes.
Well, speaking of us, the 3 of us are Harry Potter book translation collectors. We collect Harry Potter books in all different languages from all over the world with all different sorts of cover art. And today, on this episode, which is season 3, episode 16 of this podcast, we're not even talking about Harry Potter books. We're talking about something a little bit different in our main segment. But usually, if you listen to this podcast, we talk all about these books. We love to give information on these books because we collect them and we're passionate about them and we love them and we love spreading the knowledge because knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, we'll still talk about one book.
Yes, because as always, we have a translation of the show. Every single episode, at the end of the episode, we pick a book from our shelves and we do a deep dive into that book, what we like about it, how much it's worth. You know, we just give you a little bit of a snapshot of information about that book. So we're definitely going to keep doing that, which is good.
I love how Erik was like, we're talking about one book. You got defensive. Like, no. It was funny.
Well, you're like, we're not talking about books this episode. Yes, we are. Just one.
Except the translation of the show, which we will get to eventually.
Still counts.
Still counts. We have a cool little bit of news. And today for our main segment, we are continuing on with another one of our little mini series that we do. And we're doing a film series episode on movie number 3, Prisoner of Azkaban, because that's what we're up to, because we've already talked about Sorcerer's Stone, and we've already talked about Chamber of Secrets, so that's what's up next.
Yep. Perfect. Hey, and my son turns 3 tomorrow.
Oh, it's fitting.
Wow. We can only use those, those coincidences until our children are 7. We're like, oh, it's done.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
They're older than 7 now.
You know what's also a fun fact? I know I said that this is season 3, episode 16, but this is also our 77th episode, which is like the most magical number, but twice episode.
Really neat.
But fun fact. I know you guys are...
That's maths. Maths right there.
I love when we throw in a little bit of maths. First, why don't we get into our news?
All right. Well, in a rare news segment that I'm hosting, I'll tell you about some stuff that's happening. So, today is, what day is it today? It's the 18th. Okay, so about a week from tomorrow, I will be going to Universal Studios Orlando, which is super exciting. I have not been for a long time, about 8 years. The last time I went was the same year that the Escape from Gringotts ride opened.
Wow.
So I haven't been, and the Dragon Challenge was still open. So I'm super jazzed. I get to go on Hagrid's. I get to go on Velocicoaster. I get to not go on
Cat in the
Dragon
Hat
Challenge because it's gone.
I don't know.
But I do get to go on the what's the other one that's new? The King Kong thing, which I'm not super jazzed about, but that's new and I haven't been on it. So
it always has a really long line, and I just feel like it's underwhelming.
Well,
I
I'm
agree
fully
with
prepared
Melanie.
for it to be underwhelming, but I haven't done it, so it's something else
it's
that's
fine.
new.
I would say if the line is like under 45 minutes, then like that's fine. But if the line is like an hour,
Skipsies.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I saw videos recently of like the line for Velocicoaster and it being like insane. But when Alana and I went last year, we did single rider and we didn't have a wait at all. Like not an issue.
Yeah, that's always an
We walked
option. I'm
right
going
on.
with my uncle, and I'm meeting my sister and her boyfriend. So it's all grown-ups that can hold their own, in
Yeah.
a line by themselves. Don't need a seatmate to hold hands with.
Right.
Well, I mean, if you really do, you can make friends with whoever's next to you in the single rider line.
You might need it for
Which I don't plan on
Velocicoaster because it's probably the most intense roller coaster I've ever been on in my life.
I'm
I
excited.
was
It's going to be
out
fun.
of breath after that ride. It is sick. But I will say Hagrid's is still my favorite ride of all
Hagrid's
time.
is
I
so
think.
awesome.
I'm excited.
It is such
I
a
can't-
well done roller coaster.
Can't decide if I want to do this. That's what I hear. It looks just super great. Hard to avoid spoilers for any of that, right? Because everyone's posted videos. So I've seen the ride through. So I kind of know, but it doesn't compare to like actually sitting on the bike or in the sidecar, which is
No.
the important decision I have to make for my first
bike.
ride.
Bike.
Which one do I do?
Bike.
I'm gonna do both, but
Bike
I mean,
first.
okay, I might have to rock paper scissors with my seatmate. So we'll see.
I vote bike.
Yeah, the reason I'm mentioning that is that if you too, listener, are going to be at Universal Orlando the last Friday and Saturday in January, I'll be there. So you can
Which-
wave at me maybe.
That's usually when they do like Uncelebration. It's the weekend that they used to do Celebration of Harry Potter every year. And
Yeah.
for the past few years, they've done Uncelebration of Harry Potter, where there's still like a really big gathering of fans that are there that cosplay and whatnot. So yeah, you might run into some people. I know.
The only zonkaroo is that I just found out that instead of the park being open until 1 a.m. both nights, Friday and Saturday, it is now open until 6 p.m. because there is a private ticketed event, which is Florida's largest Christian rock festival, and at both parks.
No.
That requires separate admission.
That just means you can go to
stinks.
Toothsome for dinner one night.
like-
That'll be fine.
We have reservations at places at 7:30 at City Walk both nights. So honestly, I'm going to get in line for something long
Wait.
at like 5:45.
Where are you going? At City Walk.
Cowfish and the Italian place. I can't think of the name of it right now.
I've always wanted to go to Cowfish. It looks so good.
Let us know what you think about Cowfish because I haven't been, and I think we
will.
talked
I will
about it
indeed.
the last time we hung out there.
Yeah,
actually.
every time I pass it, I'm like, oh, I gotta try Cowfish. But we're like, I was just gonna say, we're a Toothsome family. Like,
Yeah,
that's our place. That's where Carly and I go, and we get ice cream, and we sit on the grass, and we just eat until
the
we're
last
sick.
time it was so cold when we did that winter, and it was so worth it. It was like January
So
or
worth
something.
it. So worth
Yeah.
it. Worth every single shiver.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
I still think I have a free. I have a free night still because I'm eating dinner. Well, a late dinner Thursday. I get in pretty late, and then Friday night and Saturday. So
So
I'll have to
Toothsome
see. I'll
it
have to look
is.
at what I.
Toothsome has great. Their food
Yeah,
is
why
actually
not?
really good, and their dessert is
food's so good.
spectacular.
The flatbreads.
I was really hoping that like I could have a dinner at one of the Harry Potter restaurants.
Yeah.
But 6 o'clock to like leave the park is really early.
But
so
it's the
I'm like,
same. It's
so-
the same food as lunch. Like you could just get lunch at the Leaky Cauldron.
I know. I'm just gonna
so-
get it at lunch. It's not a
Yeah.
big deal. So our plan is to like get in line for something that takes an hour or longer at like 5:45. We'll go on that, eat dinner, go to bed because we're gonna get there early, right? We get an extra hour. We're staying on property, so
Oh
Like-
yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get some sleep. Even though it's open till 1 a.m., I was only gonna stay till like 7 or 8 anyway because I want to get some sleep so I can wake up super early the next day.
I'm so excited.
There you
I
go.
cannot wait to hear how much fun you've had. I'm so excited. So
can't either.
excited.
You'll get to hear in 2 weeks because this isn't news, but maybe it is. I won't be on the show next week.
Eric's first episode that he's missing. Can Carly and I handle it is the real question.
I don't know.
Dun.
Well, we might have a special guest joining us next week. So
hopefully the guest knows what they're doing or what they're getting into.
They do. If they come.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be fine. Dad, we'll be okay. We'll do all the rules.
Okay.
I do remember though,
my
like there was
today,
one episode that we were gonna do like a bonus. I think me and Melanie were, and we called and we caught up. We started chatting and we caught up and we're like, okay, let's go to bed. We didn't record.
I think we were like, nah, let's. You know what? We'll be fine. We don't need to record. It's okay.
I remember that. I don't know. We talked for like
that was
40 minutes or so. It was fun.
Oopsie.
That is fun.
It was like bonus content.
I should also
or something.
mention on Saturday, so I'm going the last weekend in January, Friday and Saturday. On Saturday, I'm going to wear our purple shirt, our Dialogue Alley purple shirt prototype.
The prototype. It's the
prototype. We'll see how it lasts a full day.
Of hard wearing, like you'll be up to stuff. So like
in beta, just like the prototype stickers. I'm hoping the stickers stick for more than a day.
So far, mine on my water bottle has done well. I've only hand washed so far. So stay tuned. Carly, I still have to send yours out. I'm hoping that I can make it to the... actually, you know what? I might be able to make it to the post office tomorrow so I can send out your stuff.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice. We're very close to having like merch, but we want to make sure that the merch we like offer people is legitimately good, not like it's a sticker that fell off after 4 hours, right?
Yeah,
so we're testing some things to make sure that when it comes to you that it will actually be good. So I handed it a couple out to people I work with. I'm like, stick this on the bottom of your water bottle and show it to me in a week.
Yeah, let me know. I want to know how it's doing.
Of aggressive use on a water bottle. Couple other tidbits of news. We always want to mention Hogwarts Legacy is coming up February, you guys. So
that's like
they keep releasing these gameplay videos, and they look amazing. So that's kind of all I wanted to say on that. So Hogwarts Legacy.
The graphics of this game just like make me cry every single time I look at them. It's just so beautiful. It's going to be such a beautiful game. They also announced like some of the casting for the game and like certain actors that they have that are playing certain characters. They announced that like Phineas Nigellus Black is the headmaster, which is crazy cool. And there's a Weasley is going to be a professor at the school at the time, which that is also unbelievably cool. Yeah, it's really cool. I feel like it's just very good, well done fan service. Like I feel like Fantastic Beasts and Crimes of Grindelwald, and like I feel like that was not good fan service.
But this is good. This is good stuff.
Wait, guys, this is actually a bit of news. Did you just see that pop up from Patricio?
No.
This is like
other news.
Breaking news. So sorry, Eric, I don't mean to like steal your thunder, but like
you steal away.
We've been talking for a while about, I don't want this to be the news. We've been talking for a while about like the 25th anniversary and what Scholastic is going to do and all that jazz. And people in our Discord were just talking about it before because someone posted, they released an image of a box set that they will be releasing. And it's going to be, I think, the 25th anniversary box set. And it's featuring quote unquote new art by Mary Grandpré on the box. But it's the same books. And Patricio just said that it was confirmed.
I don't think it's new. It's that scene where they're in the boats crossing the lake. Haven't we seen that before somewhere?
That's
it's like it's not like published on books new, I guess. But like
right, but we've seen it in stuff, right?
I know, but it's just going to be
I'm just hoping
the
that's a place.
Books. It's going to be the same
this is a moment for a sad trombone.
Or hopefully it's not the anniversary.
Yeah, like sad trombone, like womp womp.
I don't
None of the listings to me have said this is an anniversary thing. It just says new box set. So hopefully it's not the anniversary thing. It's just something else.
Frankly, if that's just what they do, I'm probably
new Harry Potter.
I'm not going to buy it if that's all they do.
Yeah, I'm not buying it. I already have all of them.
I have so many of them. Like, why do I need one that isn't special?
I am just like, fingers crossed, because the thing that makes me nervous about it is the fact that it was this time 5 years ago that we got the information about the Brian Selznick books. It was like January.
Oh yeah, you're right. I remember
January
that.
5 years ago. Because it just popped up on my time hop. So like, that's why I'm nervous that that's what this is going to be. I'm like still like, please Scholastic, please do something more. Please.
Don't let the people down. Like, there's a reason these books are still in print, right? And this is part of it. Like don't
I'm not
get complacent.
I'm not gonna buy this. You guys know how I feel about boxes. Like, you know how I feel about a good box. I love a good box. Yeah. I'm not buying this box set just for the box. I'm not doing it.
No.
Maybe Scholastic's gearing up for like a rip-roaring 26th anniversary.
Because that's the year that people celebrate.
I mean, yeah, let me celebrate having to pay for my own insurance. Yay. Because that's what happened when I turned 26.
Rental car does go down. You can do that too.
I think it's 25 you can rent a car.
25 or 26?
25 you can rent a car. 26 you have to pay for your own insurance.
That is correct.
Just great. All right, back to your regular scheduled news.
Yeah, a little tidbit, and I'm going to mention it, but Carly's going to talk about it because she's got some Texas in her. You know, Carly.
I'm from Texas.
So, I know. So Universal, right? I'm going there, but guess what? I don't have to go all the way to Florida or California to get some Universal magic in the United States of America, because now you can go to Frisco, Texas, of all places, because they're doing like a little mini family park type place there, which looks super cool.
It looks super awesome. And where is Frisco, you might ask? It is right around the DFW Metroplex. It's like northern Dallas, like McKinney, Frisco. They're at like northern Dallas area. Beautiful part of Texas, I might add. It's close to the Oklahoma border. There's a lot of land out there, and Frisco actually has quite a bit of stuff out there. They have a soccer team and so on, so it's not surprising that they're doing that. And the mayor is actually coming forward, because some of the people now are coming out upset about it that live out there, saying, you know, parking, traffic, noise, and he's like, it'll be less traffic than going to H-E-B, which is our big grocer, or one of the big grocers out there. So we'll see if it's less traffic than going to the supermarket. We don't know.
This is interesting to me from a perspective of someone that goes to Disney a lot in Anaheim, and just noticing how crowded it is all the time there. Like, literally, they cannot raise the prices high enough to stop people from going.
Right.
They cannot build new things fast enough to make more space for humans. The demand is always there, which to me signifies the need for maybe like a third option rather than going to Florida or California. Texas is in the middle. Makes sense. They have a lot of land. So
right, and DFW,
maybe this is kind of like a little...
DFW is a cheap
DFW airport.
Yeah.
Like,
it's right there.
Right.
It's a cheap airport to fly into. And there's some buzz that the McKinney airport, which is now just it's like charter basically, but they may be opening up to commercial, and that McKinney is right by Frisco. So if they get this park, and they've gotten the park, McKinney Airport may become commercial at some point in the near future, and that is just another option to fly into. That's a big deal, actually, because you're just right there. Like, the airport's right there. It's like 15, 20 minutes.
And I know, like, growing up, nobody thinks, like, let's go to Disney, Texas, giddy up,
I know.
But
well, that's
really,
just because it's not there.
Because it's not there. But for locals, like Americans, flying to Florida, mixing with literally everyone that's coming from all around the world to go to Disney World, right?
Yeah.
It is a destination for so many people. It's just getting so crowded. In California, same thing. California's got a lot of locals that visit the park, but there are still tourists that come to California to go to
if they're gonna
the Disneyland, quote, resort.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're going to put like any Harry Potter themed things there. I don't know. I've been asked that several times by my friends that have sent me the articles. They're like, do you think they're going to... I don't know what they're going to do. I honestly don't, because I could see it going either way. Like, keep Harry Potter in Universal, because that's definitely really cool. Like, Universal Florida, Universal California, and have this one be like a fun little, like, Nintendo or something satellite park. You know, because they still have some really fun stuff. Right. I don't know. I think it would be really fun, though, and I'm super excited for Texas getting it, to be very honest. We don't have a lot of tourist attraction-y things.
Yeah, and a lot of people live in Texas. Like you said, the airport's easy to get to and pretty cheap to fly into, and it's pretty centrally located. there's no way that you wouldn't make money on something like this in
No,
Texas,
exactly.
especially if it's a known IP like Universal or Disney. You would think that there would be enough even just from the local population of the state, let alone people in the surrounding states.
Exactly.
To go.
And I mean, right down the way, you have Six Flags in Arlington, right? Like for those who may not know, I lived in Texas. I'm from Texas. So I know the Alamo is there. You have, Six Flags in San Antonio, SeaWorld in San Antonio, and you have like Six Flags in Arlington. But this is a different level to me. This is like Universal. This is a higher level. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll have to fly over and check it out.
It is centrally located.
By over, I mean straight down. Or for me, get on the interstate and drive, and then I'll get there.
Yeah, there was one time I lived 15 hours directly south of Erik because we were both close to like I-35. Was it 35?
Yeah, we could get on the same interstate. We're like 5 minutes off the highway, each of us.
Yeah, we were just both right off the highway.
House
just
in
15 hours later.
Straight shot.
I'll be there for Settlers of Catan at dinner time tomorrow.
All right, sounds good.
Guys, I play Settlers of Catan every single Sunday. And can I just tell you, super off topic, I had the best victory, I think, of my life the other night. I had 5.
I saw your post.
But could you tell what color I was based on?
No, I needed to ask you more to describe. So I'm glad you're giving some more details here.
Okay, I was in last place literally the entire game, and I had, I think, 5 points. I was like tucked into like this little corner, barely was getting any resources, nothing. Like, I was doing terrible. But what was I able to get? So many development cards. For the first time ever in our gameplay, we went through every single development card. That's never happened.
Oh, wow.
So I had 5 points. I think Alon had 8 or 9 points. He had a victory card, which like you could tell he had a victory card. We were playing with my friend Jen. She had 8 points. My friend Travis had 8 points. I had 5 points, and I came back and won. With
congrats! I love Eric's wife is extremely hard to beat.
3 victory points, and then at the end, what happened? I think I just like built up cities and ended up winning. It was crazy.
We need to play.
It was like a 2-hour game.
Because I love Settlers of Catan. It's one of my favorite games.
Yeah, Carly and I used to play, and my wife
pretty regularly
play online.
Yeah, pretty regularly. And Rita's really hard.
I'll play with you guys.
Yeah, she wins like every time.
I had no problem. I had issues
decent.
like putting the robber. I always apologize for putting the robber on you guys. I'm like, I'm sorry, don't hate me. And Rita just puts it, and she's like, it's there. What are you gonna do?
There it is.
All right.
It was so much fun. We had so much fun. Oh my god, I missed those nights. I was just thinking about it the other night. We laughed. I laughed so hard. Sometimes
we play in our house. We play every single Sunday. We've done it since like June. We've played every Sunday. Out of all the games, I think I've won about 15. Alon's won about 10, and my friend Travis has won twice because he doesn't play to win. He plays to not
lose.
to try to get you to not lose or to not win. Like that's how he plays. And so his strategies like make zero sense half the time, but it's a lot of fun.
But as long as you're enjoying
the best
it.
Game.
I would love
it.
I've never even got to play it in person yet. Like I would love to, like we talked about at some point, like whenever I get to visit Erik, I would love to like sit down and actually play a game in person. I think we'd have so much more fun
I love
than
Catan.
online.
I love Catan.
It's a plan.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Play Catan.
Yeah, at some point.
It will happen.
Yes,
but
it will.
You know what else is going to happen?
What?
We're going to talk about a movie, and I think we've been putting it off long enough. So let's talk about the Prisoner of Azkaban film.
I love how you threw that in there. Putting it off long enough. I rewatched it, and I loved the movie so much when I saw it in theaters. But I mean, and I'd read the book and stuff by the time I saw it in theaters for the first time. But When I rewatched it now, it was very hard for me to pay attention to. Like, throughout, I watched it continuously. It didn't start and stop like I had to do with the others. Like, I watched it continuously. So what do y'all think? What do we like? What do we don't like?
I'm glad you mentioned when you watched it now, because that's really the focus of our film series. It's not necessarily to nitpick everything in these movies. It's to remember what we felt like watching them when they came out. So in this case, in 2004, we were a lot younger, almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, wow.
That's insane to me. Seems like not that long ago. But then talk about how we react to them now again as adults watching them. So if you haven't listened to the first two that we did about Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, you can find them on our channel. But I don't know, Melanie, you want to talk? You want me to talk?
All right. Here's what I'm going to say. I feel like we're very harsh on the first two movies because at the end of the day, they're children's movies. I feel like I have a very different relationship with Prisoner of Azkaban than I have with the first two movies. I will preface by saying what I think is so funny about the movies is, like, my least favorite book is, like, one of my favorite movies. Like, it just happens that way. Prisoner of Azkaban is one of my favorite books in the series. I say that, but I'm like, I think it ends up being like my fourth favorite. It's right in the middle.
Yeah, we consult that list. That's like not even close to being your favorite.
But I love Prisoner of Azkaban. It's probably my favorite movie out of the 8. I would say strongly that I think that Prisoner of Azkaban is my favorite. I think that I'm in the minority by saying that because I think a lot of people have very strong feelings about like hating that. I listened to Aloha Mora just did like a movie ranking episode. Or, no, they did a book ranking episode, but they were talking about Prisoner of Azkaban, the movie, and, like, no one likes Prisoner of Azkaban, the movie. Half of them don't like Prisoner of Azkaban, the book, but I have such, like, nostalgic memories of, like, being a teenager and begging my parents to, like, go to the theaters. No, we have to see it the weekend it comes out. Like, I have to see this movie when it comes out. And then when the DVD came out, I have to get the DVD the day that it came out because I was dying to watch it again. And I have so many things that I like about it. I can think of one thing that I don't like, but I love that the soundtrack is still John Williams. I love that it's a different director that took a darker twist on the movies. The whole vibe of the movie is a lot darker than the first two, which pays true to the book because Prisoner of Azkaban is a much darker, deeper book than the first two. It's not as light and childish as the first two are. And I'm like, oh my God, there's a giant snake in the second one that's like trying to kill people. So,
but the lighting, you're right. Really the lighting is much darker.
No, I don't mean the lighting. I mean, I do. I mean, deeper than that. Later,
but yeah, but it does.
It's like multi-level.
She's like, no, but it's darker. No, but
it is.
It's literally darker.
No, but I just mean like it like Dementors are supposed to represent depression. That's like, that's very deep, and it's very deep for a teenager. These kids are 13 that this movie's about. And I feel like it does a great job capturing the essence of the book, the way that it's done. I think that the way that they handled the time travel was really well done. And I don't know. I just have such like a good emotional attachment to the movie. I love it so much. Yeah. End scene.
So
I will say this is also my favorite movie of the 8.
Really?
It's really it's my favorite book. It's also my favorite movie. Remember, I'm not a movie person. I don't love the Harry Potter movies as much as the books solely because I love the books so much. And like I've mentioned in the first two segments of this with the first two movies, because these books are so intricate and have so much going on, and because these movies came out before the books had been finished, right? It was hard to decide what was important to keep in and what was not. I think it's very difficult in every single one of these movies to fit everything in that is important. And still, my number one criticism of all of the movies is that it is essentially a completely different experience if you've never read the books versus if you've read the books. If you have not read the books, you're not going to see as many things that you will recognize, because there are a lot of things that aren't even really mentioned. They're just there. If you've read the book, you're satisfied because you're like, oh, there's something. I know that character, even though they didn't even say their name. I know who that is. Or, oh, I know that plan. Or, yeah, I remember this part in the book and that happened too in the background and it was funny. You're going to miss all of that. You're just going to take it for what it is, for what's coming out of the characters' mouths, for what is being told to you on the screen and showed to you. This book has one of the best plot twists of any of the series, in my opinion. And I think that's just a lot weaker in this movie. It's not bad. It's still surprising.
That's the number one issue that I think that people have with the Prisoner of Azkaban movie is the fact that we get all of this background on the Marauders and that's what's left out. And that's and the thing
it's all left out, yeah.
Here's the thing is, me as a Harry Potter fan and everything, I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. And not even because of the fact that I collect the books. I collect the books because of the fact that I love these books. I love the content of these books. They resonate so strongly within me. And that being said, I have never been one of those people that's like, oh my God, Marauders. Like, I love the Marauders. I'm all about the Marauders. Need a Marauders backstory. Need this. Need J.K. Rowling to write a Marauders book. I don't feel that way. I think it's really cool that it kind of makes Harry and his relationship to Ron and Hermione seem so much more important because of the fact that his dad also had very strong relationships with Remus and Sirius and Peter. I think that that makes Harry have more of a connection to his dad because, oh, look, he had this really tight friend unit as well. However, I don't necessarily miss that's being left out of the movies. I don't know. I obviously I know that that's a huge thing, and finding that out is part of this gigantic twist, but I don't miss it so much, and it makes me enjoy it so much more in the books that I get that little secret bit of information when I read the books.
I was going to start with positives, and then I said something I didn't like about it. But what I do like about this book, which you both mentioned,
the movie. We're talking about the movie.
The movie, film, is that as an adult, I found it so much more entertaining to watch than the first two movies. The first two movies feel very juvenile, which isn't bad. Some of my favorite movies are kids' movies. Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorite movies ever made. And the first two movies, it just feels so like I'm there with my kid and I'm there just because my kid wants to see it. Even though I'm an adult and I love Harry Potter, this movie, the director, Alfonso, it's Cuarón, Alfonso Cuarón from Mexico. I love his style of directing. It reminds me a lot of Baz Luhrmann, Moulin Rouge type stuff, where it's in your face, weird transitions, scenes go to another really quick. There's a lot of long shots and wide shots and following characters through a path. It's very, I guess it's very jarring compared to the first two movies. And I like it a lot. This movie used a lot of real set, filming out in the environment, outside, not in a movie set. So the locations feel so much more realistic, even though it is a magical place that we can't go to. That some people don't like that they wear quote muggle clothing in this movie. I don't mind it because to me, if you're wearing a school uniform, you wear the school uniform when you're in school, and then on the weekends you don't have to wear the school uniform, so you can wear whatever you want. So
I feel like it helped give the characters like an identity a little bit, that they're wearing like clothes, or not even like wearing clothes that like, oh, this one's wearing his tie undone. Like they're showing themselves as like, okay, they're teenagers now. Like they're not these prim and proper, like, oh, it's my second year at Hogwarts. Like I have to have my tie just so and my robes just like this. You know, there's
a completely unnecessary scene right when they get there after the feast of like the boys in the common room or in their dormitory in Griffin Tower, like taking these candies
I
that
love
turn them
that
into like
moment,
make animal noises. Not even in the book. But what it does, it establishes, like, they're kids at a school. They're 13.
Yeah.
Like, the first two books, like you just said, it's very prim and proper. It doesn't really feel like they're at school, like, palling around with their pals.
Yeah.
I like that it gives it that sort of attitude that they're kids at school, and they want to do kid things, and they want to have fun. And yeah, I love the sets of this one. It seems so more realistic. The thought of time in this movie that's so important is foreshadowed by this giant clock that shows up like all the time.
Yes, I
don't love that the giant clock shows up all the time, because I'm like, there's more to the castle than just the giant clock. But it's cool that they put that in there.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah, and like Melanie just said, I think the time travel scene was done so well. Something that my wife mentioned that she really enjoyed was when they put the time turner on. They don't just randomly like appear in the Great Hall and have to hide in a broom closet. They're standing in the exact same spot as where they put the time turner on, which, as much as, you know, we're experts on time travel, that does make a lot more sense to me than them all of a sudden appearing somewhere else randomly.
Right.
That's kind of where they were at that time, but not exactly where they were at the time. But in the same room, like, it's weird.
Yeah, I think it was just the time travel was handled really well. I like the idea of like, oh, we can't be seen because it like wizards who meddle with time go mad, and they're seeing themselves. And I like how it's one of those that when you watch it the second time, you pick up so much more, and maybe the first time you watch it, you like don't realize like, oh, Harry got hit with the swirly rock, and then obviously later you figure out that Hermione threw the swirly rock at him, and that's what got them out of Hagrid's hut. But if you were to watch that through the second time, you see Harry get hit with the rock, and you're like, oh my God, Hermione did that. Like that. I feel like it just makes it so cool. I love the way that they handled it.
Yeah.
Carly, how about you? What were some of your favorite things?
So, Melanie, we, touched on it quite a bit, but I love, and so did you. Like, this movie is a lot darker, not only in ideas and imagery, but also just the way it's lit, right? And the clothing, like the choices, it's darker. Like, the movie started up when I was rewatching it this go around, especially because I had just watched movie 1 not too very long ago, just because it was on. And so I watched it, and it is drastically different. And I think that is a very good way to, like, foreshadow that this is a darker movie. And we do have big topics here. We have, Dementors or depression entering the scene, right? We have, and those are really scary. We also have Sirius. He's, we have Voldemort. He's our bad guy in 1 and 2, and the Basilisk and things like that. But Sirius feels a lot closer. He can be there, and you don't necessarily know at the time that he's an animagus. So, we don't know where he is. They're looking for him, and the anxiety that the darker color palette created alongside those themes, I think it created more anxiety in the movie. At least, if I had already seen it a million times, but of course it's one of those where it's just, I think it's very good paired together. I think if you would have had those themes with like a lighter or better, or not well lit set, that's the wrong idea, but a brightly lit set where it looks like postcards, right? Like movies 1 and 2, it wouldn't mesh well. I think that would not make a good, thing at all. I don't think it would work well together. And I loved how they threw in different bits of humor. I don't remember as much humor being thrown in the first 2 movies. Like, it was all just pretty lighthearted. But here, like, you have wonderful moments when Harry finally gets to the leaky cauldron. He's in his room, and then there's that wonderful scene where, like, you know, the maid opens the door and the monster, like, yells at her and her hair goes back. Okay. You know, and it's so
I'll come
good.
back later.
Yeah, it's so good. Like, I actually laughed out loud. I'm not sure if I did when I saw it the first time, but I actually laughed out loud this go around because I'd forgotten about it. Or like how ridiculous the Monster Book of Monsters is and his reaction to it. Like, I loved it. I felt like the reactions from the actors, children, adult, were a lot more authentic. And I love the use of the scenes, like what Erik pointed out. It felt a lot more first person, like when I was watching, and I enjoyed that. And I love that they used Muggle clothes because, again, don't think that they'd wear their robes all the time. I always thought that was a bit silly, but that feels more, everything here feels more real. I guess I felt like it felt more real. This is definitely one of my favorite movies of the 7 as well. Like, I've always enjoyed Azkaban the movie.
8.
There are 8 movies.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, well,
of the 7 books.
Of the 7 books,
yeah.
8.
I will, Carly, I agree with you with the humor stuff. The balance of humor and seriousness in this movie, I think, is the best of all of the movies.
I agree. I agree.
After this movie, the humor kind of leaves, and I don't like that because in all of the books, regardless of what's happening, there's a lot of funny things that happen.
And Ron is a great funny man.
And,
like, he's a great fun guy to have around.
I only disagree with you.
I feel like... Oh, go ahead.
No, I disagree with you in that I think that I feel like I think that the funniest one, or the one with the most humor, is the 6th movie. And the 6th movie is, like, my least favorite movie, which is my favorite book.
Yeah,
like,
you're right. Because
but they try so hard to make those be very funny. And
I don't even remember that. I don't even remember
find
any funny parts from the movie because I don't like the movie at all.
I'm seeing the 6th one in a few weeks, so I'll let you know. I'm watching it out of order because I'm going to the live orchestra thing.
Okay.
I'll see movie 6.
I mean, there are parts that are like actually like made me laugh hard, funny, like the pincers. But like, but there are certain parts where it's like they're trying to be funny,
right?
You know, and it doesn't
it's very
like, come
forced.
across. Yeah.
I will say the acting in this movie, watching this as a grown up, like I commented that the acting of the first 2 it just felt very forced and it wasn't quite as authentic. I feel like the acting has improved significantly in this movie.
Absolutely.
They're older. Of course they're older. It's going to get better.
Harry's crying scene in Hogsmeade makes me go, ugh.
Okay.
Every single time I watch
Melanie, I'm saying it's better. It's improved. I'm not saying the acting is amazing.
Daniel
it's
just can't.
better
He just
than
can't
the
cry.
first 2.
He just can't. I just don't think Daniel can
cry. I was
Later
very turned off by that scene
anyway
he has
because that moment at the end.
I know. I agree.
Like,
yes,
he shocked me when he pulled that off because I actually felt things. He's, and that's jumping the gun a bit because we're not there, but no, I agree. Like the crying scene in that one, I was underwhelmed. But at the same time, it's still better than if he tried it when he was the same age as movie 1 or 2. He was their friend.
Boo-hoo.
That scene, though, when they're in Hogsmeade, I think it's very forced anyway. Like, that was one of my least favorite parts when he goes, even in, like, the 3 broomsticks and finds out that Sirius is his godfather. And, like, that whole thing takes, like, 2 minutes.
You know what?
And...
No, go ahead.
I wish it would have been. I wish at least that part, even if they're not going into how much like of the Marauders backstory, I wish that part would have been built up just a little bit more. They don't talk about the Fidelius charm. They don't talk about like what the betrayal was. And he goes from like 0 to 1,000,000 miles an hour. I'm gonna kill him after like hearing something for less than a minute in this bar that he's in the room for. And it's also bothers me that the Hermione and Ron try to go in after him, and the like shrunken heads on the door, which there's a lot of those in this movie for whatever reason. They're like, no underage witches or wizards today, and I'm like,
close the damn
that's
door.
A terrible decision on the Hogsmeade weekend for all the Hogwarts kids that are here to spend their money. Might want to rethink that policy, Madame Rosmerta. But yeah, I wish that scene would have been built out a little bit more because it was very, very quick, and if you're not like paying attention, you might not like understand the severity of the Sirius Black is a bad guy. We think he's a bad guy. Killed Peter Pettigrew type thing.
I think for me,
again, going back to if you've read the book, you know all of that, so your brain fills in all of the stuff that they don't say.
Right.
And you're like, oh yeah, this is when this happens. If you've just seen the movie, I feel like this could be a part where you could get really lost very quickly if you're not paying attention.
So, I think that where I was coming from with this, I came from like a standpoint of like the Jewish kid, and like I don't have godparents, so I don't know. Like I felt like I was missing something because I thought it meant that like Sirius was his, like he finds out that Sirius is his godfather. So like in my head, I'm like, wow, like being someone's godparent in like the wizarding world must be like a major, huge deal. And I know that like for a person to have a godparent, like their godparent is usually someone that's either like super, super close to you, or it's like turns into like an aunt figure or something like that. Like I know I have friends that have godparents that they're close with their parents. So I feel like maybe like that holds a lot of weight for Harry, like hearing that Sirius is his godfather. Like, oh my gosh, this is someone that my parents trusted so much and was so close with and is supposed to have such a huge connection to me. And like, I guess that like implied the betrayal. That's kind of like how I took it. But yeah, I definitely think that that's like a big missed, like there are a lot of things that are kind of like left out of this movie left and right that we know about. And, like I said
but
before,
they have to,
like,
right? We mentioned we have to leave stuff out.
Of course. And like I said, like I just in watching the movie, I don't necessarily know how much I really miss those things so much. And that's just in watching the movie. But yeah, I don't know. I agree with you in feeling that the whole scene was just like rushed a bit, and there wasn't like a lot of explanation, so it could leave like only movie people. Yeah,
and this seems,
and abrupt, and
seems to be,
you're watching the whole scene through the invisibility cloak, listening to Harry's like deep breathing. So, like that was maybe like the one like choice that I don't agree with.
Yeah, that was weird.
You know, in terms of how the scene was filmed. Just because, like I mentioned, if you miss what's going on there, like that's a huge, like the rest of the movie, like reveal of everything, that's not going to make as big of an impact, because you're like, well, wait, who's that guy again? Do we know about him?
Right.
Like, yeah, remember when we were like kind of underwater under that cloak thing in that bar and the camera was all moving around? They mentioned something about him, and you're like, oh yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, I wish that was done just a little bit different. That's the only time I didn't like how a scene was filmed. But yeah, like they have to leave stuff out. They have to speed stuff up, because watching people talk for 10 minutes is what kind of the first movies did. You'd watch like an important scene and then cut right to the next important scene and then cut right to the next important scene. Even though they left stuff out, there was no like transitions. And this movie left space for transitions by cutting some of the longer talk scenes down, which in terms of watching it flow as a movie, I really appreciated more as a grown-up.
I think one of the things that actually irked me the most about when I was rewatching this movie is I still felt like they were still just jumping around like important moment, and kind of popcorning them. And that's what I wrote in my notes actually was, we're here. Some B-roll, we're here, oh look, we're done. And I was a lot more aggravated by how abrupt some important information was introduced, with no, like, if I were a new watcher and I didn't have the backstory that I do, I don't think I would have enjoyed this movie at all, because I don't know that I would know what was going on. I think I would enjoy some of it. It's fun. The magic is there. The colors are pretty. They talk about interesting themes. He blows up his aunt, which is done greatly. And I laughed hysterically. I forgot how much I enjoyed that moment. But
the first 10 minutes of this movie, I'm just going to say, I think are great.
I think they're some of the best
in terms of watching a movie. They are great.
Yeah.
Except until he gets to
Wait.
What?
The very first
What?
scene is him
Okay, that's
casting
lame.
Lumos
Super
Maxima
lame.
under his covers, which we all know he can't do.
Can't do.
My
Can't do.
biggest
We
beef
know that.
of this movie is that he's casting
Okay.
Lumos to read books. Harry, let's wait until morning. Like,
just
you'll be
fast
fine,
forward
buddy.
like 30 seconds and then start the movie. Those next 10 minutes are great. Everything from like Aunt Marge to running away to the night bus scene. It's just chaos and it's crazy and I love it. And then it's super fun and it's giggly. Like
the music
there's some
is
quotable
also
quotes.
so good.
There's some
the music
but
is
you also figure out
amazing.
Aunt Marge is also just as horrible as Vernon and Petunia.
Oh yeah, they do that really quick.
And but it's
it's
good.
abridged, but they get that across really quick.
You're not.
And then once he gets to like the leaky cauldron is when I get a little bit more like, okay, we're like back into like a Harry Potter story.
Yeah.
But that like blowing up the aunt to get into the leaky cauldron I thought was the most entertaining 10 minutes of the entire movie.
I think that's some of the best filming of all of the 8 movies. If I'm being honest, like some of the best parts, because it is fun, it's engaging, and it's a great place to start. And it's a great moment from the books that I was super excited to see on film. But after that, I got very aggravated with how abrupt some of the changes into different moments were. I know that they had more transition than the last one, but a lot of it was still very abrupt, and that irked me throughout. And then we get to the very end when we have the big reveal, when they go into the Shrieking Shack, and I actually just got up and walked away.
Is it because the Shrieking Shack moves back and forth the entire scene? Because that bothered me slightly.
That actually did
The
a
whole
little.
thing is like swaying back and forth, and nobody seems to care, right? I mean, I guess it would be the least of my concerns there, too. But,
right.
like,
But that whole...
not me, like, sitting in my house watching, I'm like, am I seeing this right? I don't remember the whole thing moving, and it moves the whole scene, which I was like, okay,
that
this is a
whole
little much.
moment
But
from then until the very end, I got...
there's a piano in the house. They built it intentionally to be, like, swayy and movie.
I don't...
Yet they put a piano in there? I don't know.
Exactly. And that bothered me. Some of the acting in the scene really bothered me. Amongst all the actors,
Everyone yells in that scene.
I know, minus Alan Rickman, who is always stellar. But I really got very frustrated with Snape for not listening. But also, I got really frustrated that nobody bothered to really try to explain much in the movie end of it. Like, they're just like, okay, we're gonna do this now. And I had to get up and quit. Like, I stopped watching. That's when I got up and started cleaning. Like, I was still listening, but I was doing the dishes and doing laundry.
My wife was like, why are they all so, like, yelling? They're just all yelling at each other, and they're all, like, yelling over each other.
Right.
And it's like, let's kill him now. He needs to know why. I don't want you to die. Let's kill him. No. Okay, Expelliarmus. Ah! And then it's like Snape comes in. Get away, get against the wall. Ah! Everyone's just yelling. Like, it's like exactly for 3 solid minutes of just people yelling at each other.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I'd love to like have that scene without music. You know, like they did that Star Wars scene at the end. It's like without music, and it just changes the entire tone to like super hilarious. I feel like this scene would go from super serious black to super Looney Lovegood crazy, like awkward silence and people just yelling at each other with like the house creaking in the background.
It kind of reminded me of the Titanic.
That would be
sounds.
fun.
Yeah, when it's creaking back and forth on the
I wonder
water.
if this exists already. Now I'm gonna have to look.
I'm sure it does.
Look that up tonight.
Have
and see
you
if someone's
seen
already
the
done
video of Voldemort where they took the music out? It's like I think Voldy from movie 1 or 2 maybe, and they took the music out, and it's like something entirely different, and it's really funny. And it's like, music.
No,
I'll find it because I have it saved on my phone. It's about how music makes the moments in the movie. And I was like, this is actually pretty comical. It's true.
It totally does. Music makes the movie so great, especially when it's by John Williams. You can't beat John Williams.
He's an excellent composer. Excellent. But they have excellent movies and our music in these films. Like that was that's one of my favorite things about the music. I actually have all of the soundtracks to it.
Me too.
They're iconic, right? Even when you're walking around the theme parks and they're playing the music in the background, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so great. They're iconic songs. They put you in the mood, right? You associate these movies, this franchise with that music. They go together.
Yeah.
Well, that's
And
John Williams.
That's really
his-
special to
that's-
be able to do that.
And obviously, like, I know obviously only the first 3 movies are John Williams, but that's something that he's so known for and that's so iconic to him is creating these themes. And that's why it was so important to have him do the soundtracks for the first 3 movies, because creating a theme and creating themes is so important. Like, I could whistle a theme right now and you would know the character.
Exactly.
And the third movie I liked so much more. It had so much more of like a Renaissance-y kind of vibe to it, which I thought was really cool. Hagrid's theme that comes out in this movie is just brilliant. I'm pretty sure it's my ringtone. And, you know, considering that this is his last movie that he did in the Harry Potter series, I think that we're really lucky that he kind of like set the groundwork. I mean, and I can counter that by saying like the soundtrack for the 5th movie is my favorite out of all of them, and I think that the music in that movie is probably some of the most iconic and
well used.
And that's the ones, for the most part, that's a lot of what you hear in the theme parks. The theme parks, you hear the soundtracks for the 4th and 5th one. I feel like 4th and 5th movie more than you hear almost anything else. So
I agree.
So,
but like what you're saying is so
I feel like,
accurate.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like having him for the 3rd movie definitely. You can see the change of tone from the first 2 movies to this one based on his composing. But, yeah, I definitely think that it added an amazing, just an amazing note. No
well,
pun
and like what
intended,
you're
to
saying, like
this movie.
his use of his themes, especially into all the first 3 movies, that solidified those, you know, even just those pitches, like those couple note pitches. We can hear just a few notes and be like, oh, that's Harry Potter. We may not know which theme it necessarily belongs to at the time, but we know it's a Harry Potter related something, right? And I think that is so important to helping build a franchise, which is at the time what they were wanting to do, is build a franchise, make people hear, you know, just a few little bits and be like, oh, that's this. And he did it. He was instrumental in doing that.
Well, that's what he does. That's what he does with all of them. That's what he did with E.T. and
Jaws.
Home Alone and Jaws.
Yeah, I haven't seen many
He
of
did the
those, but
soundtrack
I've
for
seen Home
Memoirs
Alone.
of a Geisha, which is amazing. But like,
I mean, Star Wars, right? That's
Star
about
Wars,
as iconic of a song as
Jurassic
anything.
Park, like all
Jurassic
of those,
Park
you
is
hear those
wonderful.
and do 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 do.
Yeah,
do. Like all you have
just
to
the
do is hear
opening
that, and you're like,
notes.
oh my god, where's
Jurassic
the
Park, yeah.
Velociraptor?
Yeah, I love that
So-
though. Like he's very talented. He's very talented.
So, what are our final thoughts on Prisoner of Azkaban? Anything that we want to share that we haven't shared yet?
I think if I were to summarize, better than the first 2 and one of my favorite Harry Potter movies. Still.
I don't dread watching these movies. Like, I don't dread them, but it's work for me. I don't go out of my way to watch them. I was surprised at how much I remember that this was my favorite of all of them, and I couldn't tell you why until I rewatched it again very recently, a couple days ago. And I can tell you why. Like, I feel like it reinforced, like, yep, I really did think this was the best one. And I honestly still think it's the best one. And I know that's very subjective. If you don't like the way that this movie was directed, or just if you're not like a Moulin Rouge quick cut fan of swirly in your face action, that's what this movie is. And I like that. I think that's very entertaining. So I like this movie and would watch again.
Yeah. This is
How
one
about
that I
Would
would
recommend
watch again.
that I watch more than some of the others. Because I don't mind
I
it.
feel like I should watch this one more. Maybe it should be put in my rotation. I don't know. Probably not. Honestly, I don't have time to have more things in my rotation. But yeah, I liked watching this one. Like,
Yeah.
there were enough parts of it where I was very entertained that I felt like, I don't want to say it was a waste of time to watch the other ones, but I felt like I was fulfilled. My like movie going experience was fulfilled by
You
watching
were
this
really
movie.
frustrated watching the first 2, though. Like, you made that very evident.
I was, and because I remember liking them so much as a kid.
Yeah.
When I watched them, how excited I was. And I just didn't get any of that watching it as an adult. And there was some nostalgia there, but it just wasn't enough to pull me to get through some of the big gripes that I had with the movies that were just a result of me, again, liking the book so much and feeling left out when there's anything that's not included. I'm like, oh, they missed that, and that's my favorite part, and now I'm sad. I'm very sour puss because they didn't have this person in the movie.
Well, your texting through the first two was, I made me laugh quite a bit. So I enjoyed that. And you didn't do that when you were watching 3. So that alone stands to how much better I think you liked it.
There you go. All right. Melanie, final thoughts. Prisoner of Azkaban. The film.
I love Prisoner of Azkaban. I love the movie. I love the soundtrack. I love the vibe. Also, the other thing I didn't mention, which is one of my favorite things about this, is I feel like not even just the wardrobe and how the characters were styled, but I feel like the way that they kind of portrayed themselves was closest to the books, which I liked. Harry had disheveled hair, and they were all at this age where they were starting to look like a little bit gawky and awkward, which like made them quite a bit like closer to like what I would have wanted to see, you know?
Yeah.
So
what you expected to see from like a 13-year-old kid.
I didn't want to see like Harry with like a part in his like not a part in his hair, because I actually really love that in the 5th one, but like Harry with all of his hair like combed to the front and styled. Like I wanted to see Harry with his hair all messed up because that's what I pictured, and that's what I got in Prisoner of Azkaban. I feel like that was I don't know. I love the way that it was directed. I love the choices that they made in it, and I think I can still say that it's my favorite. It's my favorite.
Nice. And because you love that hair so much, the film ends with just a freeze frame of Harry smiling, riding the firebolt in a very strange, like, why did we even really need to include that at the end? It's like they forgot, and they're like,
they're like, oh,
zoinks, we got to give him the firebolt because he uses that in the next book, and it's important. And we forgot, so quick, let's do it. Don't like that, honestly. I think they could have snuck that in a little bit sooner.
You know what? Okay,
and they could have taken them 2 minutes, but whatever.
I'm gonna go back.
It was fine. It turns out fine.
I'm gonna go back in a little bit just to say every single book has like, except for I would say the first book, has like an angsty bit where some of the like they aren't getting along, right? In book 3, it's Ron and Hermione aren't getting along for majority of the book. Book 4, Harry isn't getting along with Ron, and in book 5, Harry isn't really talking to Ron or Hermione. In book 6, Ron and Hermione aren't talking, and in book 7, it's Ron and Hermione. Like it's because they're all their tension and whatever that's going on. But I feel like the movie didn't necessarily show. Because it didn't show like the firebolt scene, it kind of kept it like a little bit more like friendly, because it didn't show all of those scenes where like Ron and Hermione like really hated each other and weren't talking. They kind of like alluded to it a little bit because you know, he thought that like Crookshanks was attacking Scabbers. That stuff is mentioned in the movies.
But they didn't play that up enough, honestly, to like have them
not.
shouting at each other about the Crookshanks and the rat, which they talk about Crookshanks kind of, but like not to the extent of like Crookshanks was helping Sirius Black or put the paw on the knot of the tree to make it stop. Like Lupin just freezes it with his wand, like, oh. And they get down the hole with the tree still whipping around. That was like, oh, that's secure. Like,
I don't know.
But yeah, I know what you mean. Like they didn't play
into
that,
like an
that
analysis, like an over analysis and comparison, which I feel like was not what we were aiming to do here. But yeah, I just feel like it kept the movie a lot more light and airy because they didn't include like some of those things. So like I don't hate those decisions in a movie. I don't know. That's it. That's my final thought. The end.
The end. But it's not the end of this podcast.
Nope.
No. Yeah, we still have the translation of the show we got to get to. translation of the show, as promised, because we, like I said, like we do have to talk about a book. You know, like we're a book podcast. Like, let's be real. We talk about Harry Potter books and we talk about all these books from all over the world. So it is important to mention that our translation of the show today on theme is a Prisoner of Azkaban book. So today we are talking about the Dutch edition of Prisoner of Azkaban.
Such a good one. Such a good one.
So good. I feel like it's been a while since we've talked about the Dutch books.
You're right.
We
like
have
a while.
talked about like, yeah, it's been a bit. I feel like we talked about like the hardcover set when we talked about like 20th anniversary sets, things like that. But we haven't really talked about the Dutch language. I feel like Carly's laughing a little bit because the idea of me trying to pronounce the translator and publisher is quite comical.
You'll do fine.
Because you have
I would
more
pronounce
faith
the
than
W with a V sound, just FYI.
Vibe.
No.
Vibe.
I-E, so E. Vibe.
Go ahead, Carly.
Viba
The
Budinga.
translator is...
Viba Budinga is how
Okay.
I would pronounce the last name.
And the publisher is...
I have to go down. Oh, standaard. Uitgever? Yeah. That's wrong.
It's much better than I would have done.
I would just say standaard. That's a
Standard.
fabulous word.
So there we go.
But I know that Harrison's he'll message after he listens whenever that is, and he'll be like, "Carly, we talked about this. It is pronounced
Butchered.
this way."
Butchered.
Right.
We
So I
butchered it.
apologize. I don't read or speak Dutch. I just know a little bit about how sounds
No.
work together in different languages. Is about it.
Well, what I can tell you about Dutch is that it is a West Germanic language. It's spoken by about 25 million people as their first language and about another 5 million people as their second language, which is really cool. It is the third most widely spoken Germanic language after German and English. And something that I learned that is really cool is that Afrikaans is mutually intelligible with Dutch.
Isn't that neat? I love that. Do you know why that is?
Crazy.
Do you know why that is?
I think
it's
that's
trade
like
routes.
That's a really cool
and
fact.
colonization and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's
Really.
kind of a sad reason why it's a sad reason why it's
Yes.
mutually intelligible.
Yes, but it is fascinating, especially when you hear the two. Like,
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Very, very, very interesting.
I just love language. So cool.
Yeah, so cool. So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being the hardest, how hard would you say it is to find this book?
Are you talking a pre-movie font copy or just
I
with
think
this
both.
art?
I would talk about both here because I guess, well, I'll just go on and talk about it. You can
Go
find
ahead.
pre-movie 1, 2, and 3 of the Dutch, which are not available in hardcover. Pre-movies are not. You can find them pretty easily still. Like, I think in my storage in Texas, I have quite a few pre-movies of all of them because I was able to pick them up for $30 to $40 depending.
Yeah, I got mine from you, Carly.
Oh, okay.
They were
See, there you go.
actually my first
even
book
cheaper.
purchase when I moved into my house.
Okay,
was
yeah.
These books. So they were the first book to come into this house were my books 2 and 3 Dutch paperbacks.
Yeah,
Pre-movie.
and they're
Maybe I need one of those pre-movies, Carly.
okay. When I get
'cause
my books
I have
out of
the
storage
hardcover
this spring, we'll
of book
chat about
one.
it. We'll chat about
I
it.
chose hardcover book 1 because it was hardcover over pre-movie book 1 because it was softcover. So I'm like, do I need both? Maybe I'll get both.
You
but,
do, 'cause
but I don't have book 3.
The
so.
pre-movie font is so neat, right? Like it's well
it's
worth buying.
so cool.
I know but that was back when I'm just getting the languages,
books.
and I
Right.
didn't know how many things I was gonna get. My house was smaller, so
No, you did right. You did what you made a good choice. Neither were wrong. But I would say either pre-movie or post-movie in this sense are pretty. They're not hard to find still.
Like a 2. Like a 2. I would say like a 2.
I think that's fair for both. Don't you think? Maybe 2.5.
Yeah.
But 2.
Yeah, I would say. I would say 2.5 at most, but not too hard. And then value of these books, what would we say is the whereabouts of that?
I mean, for the soft covers tend to be looking like they've been read for the most part. I have a few that I've seen that are, very good plus, but I would say they don't wear too well, which we'll talk about later, but value-wise, I want to say I've picked up 1, 2, and 3 pre-movie, all about the same, really, 25 to 40, depending on condition.
Yeah, I would say not.
And that's
not
pre and
bad.
post movie. Mm-hmm. They're all included in there.
Yeah,
so
if you
they're affordable.
Just search around. Yeah, if you search around and are patient and wait for the price to be right, they're around, so you'll find them.
And they're wonderful covers. Really good job for not a lot of money.
Yeah, they're really cool. We'll get into that in our little tot scale. So if we want to take a smell of this book, it is like perfectly acceptable. I feel like it has no smell whatsoever.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't have
it's
the Dutch here to smell, but I've never been mad by a Dutch that I've smelled, but I've also never been wowed either. So I would say Melanie's right on the money.
Got it. That's a sound clip that you could take out of context.
I know. I thought about that after I said that. Dutch Harry Potter book, guys. Dutch Harry Potter book. There we go.
Just walking around the Netherlands smelling Dutch people. And you're like, they all smell fine. They're all fine. They're not bad. They're not amazing, but they're all good. They're all fine. Average.
Goodness, that'll get me kicked out of their country.
Like, there's an American woman just smelling everyone. She needs to leave.
And rating them acceptable or outstanding or troll.
Yeah, acceptable. You're acceptable. You're acceptable.
Ooh, troll.
You're acceptable.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
All right, guys.
Size and proportions.
Size and proportions. Size and proportions, I would give an outstanding. I love the size and proportions of this book. It is big. It is beefy. It is lovely. I absolutely love size and proportions. Love.
I would agree. Like, this was one of my earlier buys when I was collecting, and it was probably when it came in the mail, I was like, it's so wide, like so thick. And I love that there was a book one that like had some heft to it. Dutch books, you guys. Dutch books. Yeah, like I love that this book is like, I love everything about it. I like how tall it is. I like how thick the spine is. Like, delightful. I would say it definitely exceeded my expectations when I first opened it, by far.
All right. That being said, how this book feels in your hands, I would say is on par with the size and proportions. I feel like I'm giving it an exceeds expectations only because I feel like the spine is a bit tight for a paperback. It doesn't like have that like super like bold fall open quality. It kind of like snaps back, which I prefer a more malleable paperback. So yeah, I'll give it an exceeds expectations for how it feels in your hands. I love the texture. The texture of the cover is, there's nothing else like this. It's not like the super smooth buttery texture, but it is so smooth and soft. I don't know if there's any other book with a texture like that.
Melanie's right on the money, you guys. I love the book 3. I actually got book 3 soft cover pre-movie before I got book 1 and 2 because I found it on eBay and didn't know what it was. And it was like, I've got to investigate. So I bought it. I think I paid $30. And we didn't know much about pre-movie at the time, but I loved how it felt in my hand. I will say, like what Melanie was saying though about the spine, it does. They're very tight spine books. They remind me a lot of the first edition Bosnian. Like, I feel like if the Bosnian books were this size, they would feel very similar as far as like how tightly bound it is. And most of these soft covered Dutch books that I have, regardless of, 1 through 7, they're all of them, if they've been read at all, the spines are well creased, very well creased. And if they've been read more than once, they're even more creased. So that is kind of a caveat of these. I want to say my book 2 pre-movie, which I still have because it was the first one I bought, it's like the spine is completely warped from reading. Like there's a huge spine lean to it. It looks like a giant archway, basically, like a sideways arch because of how, well read the book is. And I love that it's well read, but I don't like that it shows so much on these books. So, and that kind of goes into the next topic there.
The next topic is the quality of the book, which I would give the quality probably an exceeds expectations. I feel like it does, like, I like the quality of the book a lot. I feel like for a paperback, I feel like the cover holds up pretty well. My corners are really nice. The spine is very tight. The texture of it is really nice. The paper is nice and bright. Yeah, I really like it. I would give it an exceeds expectations.
So I love what Melanie said about how the cover feels. I love the covers on these softcover books. I love the paper in these books. It's a nice thick paper. I like the ink. I like that. I don't like how easily the corners, like you look at them wrong and the corners like roll upward. I don't like how prone this book can be to creasing, so I'm going to have to give it a poor.
Whoa.
I know. Like, I think about
Crazy.
them and I just...
Sorry, I just slopped butterbeer all down my front. That's one of the...
It's a pretty big
That's
disparity.
from book 3.
Yeah, it's book 3. Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, that is a big disparity.
Yeah.
Well,
But it's weird because I don't usually love the I don't usually love the paper, the ink, and the board, or not board, but wrap quality, and give it a poor. But they managed to do that, so I don't know what else to say.
yikes.
Yeah.
But I will say, okay, so next would be the cover art and the interpretation of the cover art. So here's what's cool. I feel like, we see Buckbeak on the cover of so many Prisoner of Azkabans. That's just is what it is. For me, it is very hard to do well, especially I feel like the only one where I love it is the Swedish, I think is the one where they do it the best. I feel like this one is not exactly my favorite. We were just getting a message from Johnny saying like, oh, who's that riding Buckbeak? Is it Sirius wearing a pair of heels? Because that's pretty funny. And I'm like, it's either Sirius or Hermione. And he's like, yeah, I think it's funnier, though, if it's Sirius. And that's going to be my headcanon, is that it's Sirius with a pair of, like, high-heeled sandals. And he's just rocking it. And he just escaped Azkaban in those heels. And good for him. Well done. Well done, Buckbeak. Get it? He says that in the movie that we were just talking about.
Well done, Buckbeak.
So, okay, so for interpretation of the cover art, I'm just going to give it an acceptable.
And
Which you guys know for me is rather difficult.
I can see that. We talk about that all the time. Like, I agree with you that it's hard to do Buckbeak well. I don't love, like, Azkaban's my favorite book in general, the American one. It's not my favorite cover.
Yeah.
Like, I don't love the Buckbeaks on the cover for whatever reason, with the exception of Swedish, because, Swedish, that's why. And yeah, I've never been a fan of like the hippogriff on the cover of any of them. So, like, I don't have this book, so I can't give it a score. But yeah, I agree with you. It's hard to do well, and I don't think it does it exceptionally well. In fact, it's just kind of like, yeah, all right, there it is.
See, this
Which
is
is
one of my
not often
favorite
that
covers.
I don't love a cover. Oh my god. Go ahead.
It's not what?
This is one of my favorite covers. Like,
Oh boy! So you're inventing a new category that's even higher than outstanding.
No. I wouldn't say it's outstanding, but it would exceed my expectations because I love. This is one of the few Buckbeaks I really like, And I don't know why, but I like the look in his eyes. I like how it's so dark in the background. I like this twinkling stars. I like how very black it is. I like the torn cover paper that we see on all 7 of the Dutch softcover books. I like that. I like the moon and like behind Buckbeak. I don't understand the person on Buckbeak. I'm not sure what's going on there.
It's definitely serious because
but I don't understand.
His skin is like a green. His clothes are tattered.
Yeah, I don't love that, but I love everything else. I do not, for the pre-movie, I do not like how it's like orange and black. It's very hard to read, actually, the way that they've done the pre-movie on the cover. But the post-movie, I really enjoy. I think that the black sets off the Harry Potter font very well. So I'm going to have to give it an exceeds expectations. I don't know.
To each their own.
Definitely.
Hippogriff.
It's funny because, like, I just noticed the Dementors at the bottom that are kind of like, it just looks like they're just wearing hoods and, like, staring up at Sirius like, oh, there he goes. I guess we're stuck here. We'll just watch and
I
escape.
Just picture them saying, like, oh, darn it, he got away.
Shoot. Dang it.
Right.
And last thing we'll talk about is, like, the X factor of this book, which for me, I would say is the texture of this cover. Like I was saying before, I feel like there's nothing like it. It is just silkety smooth. It's so nice. It's so silky smooth but without it being that, like, velvety kind of texture.
Right.
It's very nice.
So mine
very,
is...
very nice.
Is there a ribbon bookmark in the hardcover?
Yes.
I think so, yes.
So, there you go. X Factor.
I mean, that would be the X
Damn.
factor.
I love the cover art. Like, that's my X factor for this book. I love it. I love how differently similar it is to other stuff.
Yeah.
I love when we disagree with stuff. I think that's
It's fun.
exceptionally interesting.
It's fun, and I think it
Yeah.
It
shows
is
what we
fun.
highlight quite a bit. Like, you know, how tactile or visual or, you know, thing. I think it's fascinating. And then when we agree, that's a winner of a book, you guys, when we agree.
That's why we have that sound effect that Tommy puts in there.
Yeah,
Can I just tell you guys, the reason why I picked this book is I wanted us to have a book that we, like, had mixed reviews on, because I feel like so often our translation of the shows can be like, oh my god, we love this cover, outstanding. Oh my gosh, it has a ribbon bookmark, outstanding. And we're like that, and we all kind of agree. So I was kind of hoping for, like, a controversial tots today. So
Well, you did
mission
it.
accomplished,
Well done.
Melanie.
Well,
Mission
and
accomplished.
many categories were controversial, so I'm kind of a fan of that. That's good discussion.
Yeah, cool. Very cool. Cool book.
But you know what's not controversial? The length of this episode. It is time to end it because we are sleepy and we've covered everything that we need to cover. So that's all the time we have today on Dialogue Alley Podcast. If you want to get in touch with us, you can do so in a lot of different ways. Carly is on Instagram at All the Pretty Books. I'm on Instagram at Nocturne Erik with a K. Melanie is on Instagram at The Harry Potter Collection. Carly has a website, alltheprettybooks.net. Melanie has a website, theharrypottercollection.com. This podcast has a website, dialoguealley.com. We're on Twitter, dialogue_alley. Melanie's on TikTok, The Harry Potter Collection. We're on Facebook, Dialogue Alley. We're all the places. We stream. We stream everywhere. Everywhere you can stream us, we're there to be streamed.
Whoa.
Like, you want to stream us? It's pretty easy. Just search us up on the Google, and we're there. But if you would like to listen to us, but you don't want to listen to the advertisements, that's okay. There's an option. You can support us on Patreon. You can go to www.patreon.com/dialoguealley, and you can join us. So for a small contribution each month, we have different levels that you can support us, one of which you get ad-free episodes and bonus episodes. But for all the tiers, you get access to our Discord, which is a lovely community filled with people that like Harry Potter. We all like Harry Potter books. We're not all translation collectors, but we all like Harry Potter. So we're there to talk about whether it be a book or a movie or McDonald's, like we're there. We're going to talk
We're
about
also,
it
I would
in our
say,
Discord.
we're very persuasive because I feel like we've had people join our Discord that were not translation collectors.
Yeah.
That now are translation collectors.
They are, and they've used our resources
to
to get their collection
well, I feel like
started.
Yes.
I feel like I'm like living vicariously through them because like we're also like close-ish to being like done, quote unquote, done with what it is that we're collecting. But so many people are like starting out, and it's just like it's so cool to see. And I feel like we're just living through all these people doing it.
Even just like there are a couple people that are new that they don't like. I know they're not going to go for like a bunch of translations, but they're just like, hey, this art on this book's really cool. I want to own it, and put it on my shelf, like, and it makes me happy. That's awesome. That's a great collection. You don't have to have everything.
It's really fun.
You know, you don't need to buy everything. It's just getting people to discover there's maybe another Harry Potter thing, if it's one or two items that added to their shelf makes them happy because it's something they've never seen before and it's beautiful. So I think that's spectacular that we get to be a part of that, and our community gets to be a part of that too, helping people find kind of that really special Harry Potter book that makes them happy, which is so cool.
Yeah.
You know what else makes me happy? Positive reviews about this show. We haven't had a new one in a while, so I haven't been able to read one to you. But if you do leave us a review on whatever platform you listen to us on, we are happy to read it on the show and give you a shout out. So feel free to do that and let us know if you leave a review, and we will look for it and read it on the show. One more housekeeping thing before we finish up. We mentioned on the last episode that we talked about all the Bloomsbury episodes and all the UK books. We used those terms interchangeably. We used all the books available in the UK. That doesn't really, we missed a few. So like we didn't talk about any of the Ted Smart editions. I feel like that's another topic. We also didn't talk about the uncorrected proofs, which are Bloomsbury books, but they're not available for purchase by the publisher.
Episode just on those.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I really want to at this point. I'm glad that that was brought up in our Discord. David, a very passionate collector in our Discord, brought it up, and I'm so glad he did because those are books that I want to talk about, especially because teaser to this whole episode that we're going to do eventually, I bought a Ted Smart book, and I thought it was, like, super awesome. I was like, whoa, what is this thing? Spoiler, it's not, like, super awesome. And so I wish we had more information about that. So I think that is a great point that David brought up, that we should talk about the Ted Smart books, and I'm excited to talk about those.
And they need their own episode as well,
episode. So they do, for sure. So thank you, David, for bringing that up.
David.
We definitely want to talk about that. Yes, always look. That's what I love. Everyone's looking out for each other. They're like, hey, you didn't talk about these. And we're like, no, we didn't. Guess we're going to have to talk about them on another episode, and I'd love to do it. So, hooray. And finally, we want to mention that we are part of the MuggleNet family of podcasts. If you want more Harry Potter news, Harry Potter content, you can head on over to the MuggleNet's website. They have a slew of cool stuff over there to check out. They also have quite a few podcasts that cover different Harry Potter topics. Melanie mentioned Alohomora. She was on that show. So if you want to go listen to her episode on another podcast, you can do that. They also have Potterversity. They have a couple other shows that are just really great. They have different takes on Harry Potter content. So go check out MuggleNet. We are super happy to be a part of them. And thank you for listening to our show, I guess, everyone. This has been a pleasure. Love talking to you ladies about stuff. Harry Potter stuff.
Aww.
The pleasure's all ours.
I'm going to miss you next week.
But you'll be having so much
I'll be having a super fun time. So
you're going to be missing a good episode. Let me tell you.
Honestly, okay, I will say this. I like collecting stuff. So as much as I don't collect Funko Pops, I want to hear everything about it. So I'm really excited to listen to the episode because I like what like other people collect, and I like knowing why they collect it.
All right,
One
guys,
of my wife's friends collects K-pop stuff.
Spoiler alert, because now you guys know what we're talking about next week.
What? What are we talking about? I didn't say anything.
You literally just said it.
Should we leave that in?
Yeah, just leave it in. It's fun.
Okay. Well, if you're listening this far, congratulations. You know what the next episode is going to be about. So, with all of that being said, it is time to walk back through the archway and into our daily lives, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
See ya.